What up, everyone? Welcome back to Knicks in 4, where we talk everything Knicks. I'm your host, Ayers. If you're new to the channel and you're enjoying what you're watching, please feel free to like, subscribe, share a comment. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Let's get into it. So before we jump into today's topic of discussion, I just want to first send a big time shout out to these New York Knicks, winners of 6 in a row. Can you believe that? I mean, I didn't think that we would reach a winning streak longer than 3 or 4 games, but here we have it. Winners of 6 in a row. Back-to-back victories against the Chicago Bulls in Chicago. And to be honest with you, I was starting to lose hope for this team. Going back about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, the Knicks were sitting at 10-13, and things were looking pretty bleak. No hope for the future of the season. And it was looking like we were shaping up to have another one of those lackluster, mediocre seasons. But after Tom Thibodeau shortened the rotation from a 11, 10-man to a 9-man rotation and inserted guys like Quentin Grimes in the starting rotation, Miles May brought off the bench, these Knicks have had some success. Their defensive intensity has stepped up. Defensive effort has stepped up. I believe we're statistically one of the top defensive teams in the league, top 5 defensive teams in the league. And this is exactly what a Tom Thibodeau team is supposed to look like. And to be honest with you, I'm starting to get a little bit of vibes from that first year Tom Thibodeau Knicks team where we were just like gutting out victories and, playing our hearts out on the defensive end over effort alone. We didn't have the talent, but we, played hard every night, and we're starting to see that again. Now, despite the success that we've had over these last 6 games, we have been presented with a new potential issue, and that issue revolves around Obi Toppin. Now, going back a week ago, we know that Obi Toppin suffered a right leg injury, so let's go back to the details of exactly what happened. Going back to a report from BasketballInsiders.com, according to ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski, the third-year player will be reevaluated after the 3-week period. Again, that was a week ago, so he has about 2 more weeks before he's reevaluated. Toppin injured his tibia head in New York's 113-189 win over the Atlanta Hawks on Wednesday night. And let's take a look very quickly at how this happened. So again, this was against the Atlanta Hawks a couple of weeks ago at home. See there, like he tweaked it without even any contact. Happened so fast. These injuries, most of these NBA injuries, I swear, they're non-contact injuries. They just seem to flare up out of nowhere. Let's take a look one more time. All right, see coming in right there. Boom, boom. Yeah, he wasn't even hit by anyone. He just seemed to, get tweaked up and everything. And there you have it. He's out. So he underwent an MRI, and the MRI results came back negative. So, he just has a sore knee, and obviously he needs a little bit of time to rehab. But the question that we have to ask ourselves is what's going to happen when Obi Toppin eventually comes back, whether that's 2 weeks from now, a week from now, 3 weeks from now, whatever. Now, Tom Thibodeau, as we've seen over the course of these last 2 years with Obi Toppin, this being his 3rd year with the team, I'm getting the impression that Tom Thibodeau doesn't like Obi Toppin. Now, he can, have a good poker face. He can, say positive things about Obi in the press conferences. I believe recently he gave Obi some props. He was asked about Obi Toppin's playing status, and he was very encouraging about Obi's skills and abilities and his capabilities to learn, after a while from his mistakes. But again, what we've seen actually happen is Obi Toppin's minutes go down and down and down. And what we are seeing now is a Knicks team that are moving forward without Obi Toppin. Now, again, this is a 9-man rotation. What we started the season off was kind of like a 10-man rotation, 11-man rotation with Obi out there, with D Rose out there. Ever since then, obviously, Fournier has been benched. Derrick Rose out of rotation. Cam Reddish out of rotation. And with this injury to Obi, I have to ask myself, Knicks fans have to ask themselves, what will happen to Obi when he returns? Now, if we look at the whole situation with Cam Reddish, this is almost mirroring, hopefully it doesn't, but it seems like it's mirroring what exactly happened with Cam Reddish. Same predicament. Cam Reddish suffered an injury. Quentin Grimes comes back from his injury, replaces him in the starting lineup. But when Cam Reddish returns, Cam Reddish doesn't return to the starting lineup. Not just that, he doesn't return to the rotation, period. Now, Tom Thibodeau, I have the feeling, is going to some way, somehow justify not putting Obi back into the rotation. He'll make some excuse like, oh, we don't want to, move him along too fast. We want him to have a good recovery. And to be honest with you, I think he may have a justifiable reason in terms of not wanting to mess up what we have in terms of our success right now. Obviously, coming off the bench, we have Hartenstein, Jericho Sims, Emmanuel Quickly, and Honey Badger. Well, losing track of my mind right now. Miles McBride, yes. So that rotation has been solid. Obviously, we know who the starters are. So when Obi Toppin comes back, how are we going to insert him back into the mix of things? Obviously, when players are coming off an injury, returning back to a team, it takes them a little bit while to get used to NBA action again. So it's going to be a bit of a delay for Obi to get back up to speed. And obviously, he wasn't having a great season right before he got injured anyway. So it's going to be real interesting to see what happens. Now, do I think that Tom Thibodeau is utilizing Obi Toppin's talents to the best of his abilities? Clearly not. But you can't tell me that he is going to play Jericho Sims or Hartenstein over Obi Toppin. But at the same time, as a coach, it's your job to think of the success of the team. And if you have some success going on, you don't want to interrupt things by inserting a guy in a position, even if he's a guy that you know is one of the foundational pieces of your team, one of the future investments of the team. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. But I think we really need to pay attention to this. Now, I, for one, am of the mind that I would rather keep Obi Toppin and trade Julius Randle. You guys know my feelings about Julius. But Julius has been balling recently, and it's going to be quite interesting to see what happens, especially with the trade deadline coming up soon. Do we, decide to move off of Julius Randle now that his trade value is up? Guys, playing very well. And this may be a way to bait a team into taking him so we can finally give that spot to Obi. But in the same breath, should we just continue rolling out with Julius Randle? Now, while I am more for Obi taking the position, I think I can say that we know who Julius Randle is as a player, so we know what to expect, good and bad. Now, Obi Toppin's potential is yet to be seen. I'm of the mind that if we allowed him to, play, he would show what his potential is. But are we ready to go with something we know, or willing to bet everything on something that we don't know? A big question mark. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this all transpired in the next few weeks. And I don't know. If Obi is traded, I would be naturally upset again because he's a New York native. He's a guy that I want to build with RJ Barrett, stick around for this team. But if there's a deal that presents itself out there where we can, shop Obi and get back a potential star, I'm not going to be opposed to it. It's just not going to sit well with me if we actually go that route. Clearly Tom Thibodeau has something against Obi Toppin. I think we can have enough evidence to, point that out at this point. So where will he fit when he comes back? I think he may be the odd man out, unfortunately, because what he has given us on the production end is not well enough to just say, okay, as soon as I come back, that spot is mine. And if Tom Thibodeau continues to get this team to, lock in on the defensive end, winners of 6 in a row, they become winners of 7 in a row. The schedule is not that difficult for these next 3 or 4 games going forward. I believe they play Indiana. They have another game against Chicago. They have a tough game against Golden State coming up. But I can see that, honestly, out of these 3 or 4 games, the Knicks going, I doubt that they will continue to have a winning streak. They're going to lose 1 or 2 games. But if they go 3-1, 2-2, that's still pretty good considering over the course of, 10 games, if they manage to pull one out against one of these, upper end of teams, even though Golden State is not looking good on the standings. But obviously we know what they can do to you given the fact that they have the best backcourt in the league in NBA history. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. Coincidentally, talking about potential trades, I just came across a report from, not even a report, it was just a proposition from Bill Simmons. Now, let's take a look at what Bill Simmons is proposing coming off the Chicago game. So Bill Simmons proposed Obi Toppin, Zach LaVine trade would never happen between Knicks and Bulls. Now, while that may never happen, it's interesting to think about because obviously the Bulls are struggling. They have a lot of salary locked up with veteran players. Lonzo Ball is suffered a season-ending injury last year, and he's still out. But let's look at the details of this potential deal. So Bulls would get Obi Toppin, Derrick Rose, Evan Fournier, and a 2023 first-round pick straight up for Zach LaVine. Now, I think Zach LaVine is a fringe all-star. I'm a fan of his game, but I don't think he's proven to be a winning player. Now, it's a bit unfair to say that a player is not a winning player, especially if you're playing in a team game. So there's a lot of factors that go into winning and losing. But what he has shown me is not good enough to say, hey, we're just willing to give up Obi Toppin. Because clearly the other pieces of this deal, Derrick Rose, Evan Fournier, and a pick, that's not really pieces that are going to affect our future. But Obi Toppin, that's somebody who can potentially be a part of our future or be a part of someone else's future. And Zach LaVine is in the prime of his NBA career. And obviously, I think we can all agree that he's a better player than Obi Toppin. But will he make the Knicks a much better team if he were to be involved in a trade? And, how would he fit in the starting lineup, considering that obviously Jalen Brunson is our point guard. Quentin Grimes is looking like he can't be taken out of the lineup because of his two-way playability. Will we sit Grimes to the bench and move Zach LaVine in there? So I'm not particularly, looking at that deal as if it's something that can realistically happen. As Bill Simmons even points out, that's something that he thinks would never happen. But I think the Knicks and the Bulls are two teams that, just like the Knicks and Lakers have been recently talking to each other, seeing about potential deals that can happen. But, all honesty, I'm very worried for Obi Toppin. I think this is an unfortunate circumstance for him. I think while he has done everything he can, he's improved his three-point shot. Because of his struggles recently and because of this injury, obviously, and on top of that, the Knicks having success without him, all of those things put together is like a kettle bomb for him being traded or him not coming back into the rotation. So we'll see what happens. Again, I believe Obi is about another 2 weeks away from being reevaluated and inserted back into the team. But will, Thibodeau do the Quentin Grimes situation, ease him back slowly? Or will he just have him sitting while the Knicks sort of continue to, roll out with the success that they had and the rhythm and the rotation that they had? But I don't know. This is quite crazy. I think we are going to see something happen very, very soon. I think, obviously the Knicks are talking to the Lakers. They're talking to a few teams that we probably don't know about yet. But a move is going to be made, and not all of these players are going to be able to be kept. Obviously, we talked about Emmanuel Quickley in the past being in trade rumors. In the last video, Cam Reddish obviously is in trade rumors. And now I believe Obi Toppin is going to be at the center of these trade discussions because I know for a fact that teams, any team for that matter, would love to have him at the right price, of course. So if we're trying to get a guy or get off of a guy, teams are going to be interested and say, hey, can Obi be in this deal? And we may have to pull the trigger, but would I be a fan of it? No. Would I be accepting of it? It depends on the players that we get back in return. But anyway, guys, that's going to be all for the video today. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you are as worried as I am about Obi Toppin. Do you think this is a opportunity for the Knicks to trade Obi Toppin? Do you think that Obi Toppin, once he returns back from injury, will be inserted right back into his rotation piece as he once was? Or do you think once he returns, he's the odd man out? Will he be just, warming up the bench? Will his minutes be reduced even further? Only time will tell. But anyway, guys, that's going to be the end of the video. Peace.